Rasmus Hojlund scored twice for Napoli in the Champions League against Sporting. But what is happening with him in Italy? It has also brought to the surface the same question and debate that constantly resurfaces. How and why do players improve when they leave United? There's a lot I want to discuss in this video, so let's get into it. So Hojlund is in the headlines after bagging a couple of goals for Napoli, and I'm getting criticised for being a hypocrite and being reactionary because of an opinion that I have around Hojlund, around Šeško, and around a central midfielder that we never signed. And I want to speak about all of that in this video. What's been happening with him in Italy, how many games has he played, etc. Is he smashing it? What's going on there? I'll bring you up to date on that front. And also want to have a conversation about how and why United players look better when they leave the club. Now, I want you to let me know what you think in the comments below. I feel we all know the answer already, but anyway, we'll speak about that. Let's start with what's going on with Hojlund. You all know that he left to join Napoli. He's joined on an obligation as far as I know. So around about 40 million, isn't it? And basically, Antonio Conte looked at the success of what went on with Scott McTominay and probably felt he had an opportunity to do the exact same thing with Rasmus Hojlund. This is what he said at the time. He goes, Rasmus, I knew him because he played with Atalanta and came to United. We're talking about a player with great potential. He's only 22. He's got his whole career ahead of him. Hojlund wanted to stay at United. United decided to move him on. Now, out in Italy, he got his first goal against Fiorentina, and these are the games that he has played so far. We'll focus on the league to begin with. He's played 3 games in the league against Fiorentina, Pisa, and Milan. He's got 1 goal in those 3 games, and he's in the spotlight currently because of that performance against Sporting in the Champions League. In the league here, you can see he's had 3 shots in 224 minutes, right? That's Rasmus Hojlund so far in Serie A. Hasn't exactly been getting a hell of a lot of service there. But it was in the Champions League where he got the service from a certain Kevin De Bruyne. 2 goals last night and a man of the match performance. And after, he went on Instagram and said, look, Hojlund scoring twice in the Champions League after 2 assists from De Bruyne was not on my 2025 bingo card. And it was not on mine either. Speaking after the game, De Bruyne was saying how Hojlund needs to attack the space. And when it comes to United, all of us really felt that Hojlund was broken. It felt like it anyway. At the point that when he left. Everything that was simple became difficult. Everything that was difficult was impossible. Nothing was working. Everything was hard for him. And after that performance, I went on Twitter and I said this. I said, look, United's mistake this summer was spending 70 million on a striker instead of a central midfielder. And I've highlighted it in red there. I said, we'd be a stronger team if we'd spent that money on a central midfielder and kept Hojlund. And now I'm getting accused of being a hypocrite because I'd always said that it was a good deal that Hojlund left. I said here in particular, I said it would have been a great deal if United had signed Šeško and used Hojlund as part of that so that the funds were less for Šeško and we only had to pay, what, 30 odd mil cash? But I'm getting slammed for this. Can I just reiterate my opinion here? It's very hard to have a conversation on Twitter. It really is. At the time, you'll remember this. This is from The Athletic, okay? And they're talking about it was at this stage. The stage is after Ekitike ended up going to Liverpool and United were linked with him and we were linked with a couple of strikers. What do we do next? Who do we go for? Do we go for Šeško? And Newcastle came into the frame and that's when it really accelerated. But it was at this stage that United weighed up moving for a striker or a midfielder, with discussions to ascertain the potential price of Baleba underway. The choice at that stage was to go for a number 6 or a number 9. Some of the club believe a midfielder should have been the priority. But Jason Wilcox advocated to sign a scorer because we didn't score enough last season. Ratcliffe backed the call, and United made a move for Šeško. And that's what I was saying last night. I'm not sitting here doing some mad revisionism that Hojlund was actually a better striker than any United fan gave him on for, and him scoring out there. I'm not surprised to see him scoring out there. When you see the passes from De Bruyne that he was getting, the service wasn't good enough at United. The service currently isn't good enough for United with Šeško either. It's kind of a repeating problem. The point I was saying and the point I was making was United in the summer stood at a crossroads. After we signed Cunha and Mbeumo and we brought in 2 Premier League proven goal scorers, not a striker, but goal scorers. You don't need a striker who scores 40 goals a season if you spread the goals among the team. At that point, it would have been my preference for United to put the funds towards signing a central midfielder. And I do think that United as a team right now would be a better overall team had we allocated those funds to signing a central midfielder and Hojlund had stayed. Now, would we still have problems with Hojlund missing his chance? Probably. Maybe. I don't know whether he would have been that much better with Cunha and Mbeumo around him. But the point I'm trying to make, and the point I'm really getting like pelters for, is suggesting that that would have been a better strategy. That was the strategy I disagreed with at the time. I say disagreed with. I would have preferred that we did it differently. I would have preferred that Ruben Amorim got that central midfielder that he wanted, because this team needs a midfielder. And I think overall as a team, we'd be in a better position than we are currently. As it stands, Manchester United, wrong one. As it stands, Manchester United, we're creating more. We're not finishing enough. So that problem hasn't been resolved by signing Cunha and Mbeumo and Šeško. Similar issues that we had last season. But we don't have anywhere near as much midfield control as we need to have. And we know that. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. When I was speaking about Rasmus Hojlund, I'm not sitting here going, like, am I surprised that look, when it comes to United, you just have to understand that the inherent pressure and the scrutiny of our football club can wilt even the most confident of players. Like Andre Onana is the perfect example of this. That dude came in just like chest out, dead confident, spoke after that mistake he made against Bayern Munich, and he's front facing. I thought, and then just got worse and worse and worse. Disappeared. United is such a pressure boiler club that it can squeeze all confidence out of players. And in environments like Napoli, is not exactly a small bloody club, man. Huge club. One of the biggest in Italy. Current Serie A champions. But it's different out there. And it is. And it's also different when you're getting a bit of service, which makes a difference as well. But I just wanted to do this video to, I feel like, explain myself. I felt it at the time. Manchester United's logic and transfer strategy this summer was bring in as many goals as you possibly can. Cunha and Mbeumo and Šeško. That's where the 200 mil went. And therefore, the consequence of that will be United scoring significantly more goals. We're not going to have the midfield control, lads. But it doesn't matter because we're scoring 2, 3, 4 a game, so we're going to be inherently winning lots of games. That was just the strategy. That's not come to fruition. And I'm just getting pelters for saying that I would have preferred if United had signed a central midfielder and allocated the funds there and kept Hojlund, because I think that would have given us a better overall team. I'm interested to know where you all stand on this and whether you all think I'm a hypocrite too.